And you, for example, you and Randy have business skills, money skills that I don't have. You're entrepreneurs. You start things, they grow, and that way. I'm not a business person, but it's natural for you. It's part of who you are. So God wired me in such a way that I can produce a lot. I I I can write at a fast pace. I can sit down literally right before a radio show. Let's say I'm about to go on for an hour with a guest, and last second we get a note. Oh, they have to cancel. Something just happened. Their flight is delayed. They have to cancel. Without batting an eyelash, I can sit there and do an hour show on a brand new subject.
Let's spend 10 minutes together to change your life.
And as you do that, if you notice, wow, this really resonated. So I'm not going by polling. I'm not just going by data and survey, but I think, wow, that resonated. It looks like there's a need there. Let me lean into it. Then say, wow, people really are hurting there, or they need guidance there, or this is really timely. So you pour into it because your goal is to help others, build others up, and strengthen them.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, Zig Ziglar also has a very famous saying, very similar to what you're saying. If you help enough other people get what they want, you will get everything you want. So, if you won't mind, just talk about a brief day in your life. I mean, I know you have you have a radio show, you have books you're writing, you have travel, and you have speeches you're giving. Like, how do you must have a massive team that helps coordinate and
he has pull-ups to do.
Yeah, exercise. I mean,
working out. Yeah.
How do you have time for all that?
So on the one hand, you, for example, you and Randy have business skills, money skills that I don't have. You're entrepreneurs. You start things, they grow, and that way. I'm not a business person, but it's natural for you. It's part of who you are. So God wired me in such a way that I can produce a lot. I can write at a fast pace. I can sit down literally right before a radio show. Let's say I'm about to go on for an hour with a guest, and last second we get a note. Oh, they have to cancel. Something just happened. Their flight is delayed. They have to cancel. Without batting an eyelash, I can sit there and do an hour show on a brand new subject. So God's gifted me in a certain way that I don't have to prepare as much. It's kind of been life preparation, decades of study, learning, deposit in me. So I don't have, that's a positive. But an average day, I'm a late night person. So if I get up real early in the morning, I may answer a few emails, things, but I'll go back to sleep for a bit. Then mid-morning, I'll start. I'll do some Bible reading, prayer, just reflecting on the day. And then, well, normally by early afternoon, so let's say I'm working on a book project. So I'll do some writing. And then from there, go up to our office. And one day a week, I'll record 5 30-minute shows for one of our radio broadcasts. That's the pre-recorded one. So normally on a Monday, I'll go in about 12:30, and then I'll knock out 5 straight shows. Then I'll do my live radio show from 3 to 4. So that's the fixture. Live radio, 3 to 4 p.m. every single day. Many other days, I have a podcast interview like this, or maybe some TV thing we're doing, debating a subject, etc. And then at night, normally after hanging out with Nancy, spending time together, maybe over our salad dinners and things like that, then I go back to writing, either working on another book, working on an article, working on an academic project, and then the many people around the world that we interact with, so grads and pastors, leaders. So I'm mentoring different people, so I'm answering their texts and emails, and then doing that until the early hours of the morning. Most weekends I'm traveling, so on normally after radio on a Friday I'll fly out, and then often speak Saturday, Sunday, and then come back on a Sunday night or fly back early on a Monday morning. And then during the school year, I'm teaching at numerous different schools, and they have setups where I can do my radio shows. So, for example, I'll teach 3 days in Dallas, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings, and then do my radio show in the afternoon, then write at night, and then 2 days in Fort Worth. That's kind of a week there teaching at 2 different schools. And then for our team, we've got, just for our overall ministry, so for my own work, the Line of Fire, so we've got our administrator, our CFO, and our accounting people, and our graphics people, and our shipping people, those that interact with our donors and do our best to be a blessing to them. I've got my 2 producers that do my shows. Then there's another radio station that we connect with via internet every day for my live show, and things go out from satellite there to other stations. So you're on several hundred stations. And then we have another team that does a lot of our posting. I'll post my own stuff on X, formerly Twitter, or if you see on Facebook, just with a red background, something from me. That's just me. Otherwise, we have a media team. So they'll take messages of mine, they'll put shorts up, they'll take quotes that I have, put them up with musical backgrounds. So they're doing that, putting that out. And then we have a missions organization. They oversee our people from around the world. So we've got people in about 25 different nations, graduates from our school, starting schools in poor parts of Africa, India, fighting against human trafficking in the Philippines and things like that, and then doing gospel work. So we've got our missions organization oversees them. And then we have other staff members, like I have my assistant that schedules everything for me and, take me to and from the airport, etc. And the biggest thing is, because we get thousands of emails, requests, that we have a team that gets those along the way. There's another fellow, Russian, Hebrew, Israeli, PhD in Old Testament. So he answers the theological questions that come in. For years, our ministry was known as Ask Dr. Brown, so everyone had a question for me. So that's one reason I do live talk. I do live talk radio so people who differ with me can call in. I love that. I love having people who differ with me, whether it's a Muslim or a Black Hebrew Israelite, or whether it's a fellow Christian with a difference or an Orthodox rabbi friend. I love to interact. When I'm asked to speak on college campuses, and often I'm not asked because I'm considered too controversial. But when I am asked to speak on a subject, I said, can you get someone to debate me? Because I want the students to hear both sides. So we get tons of questions and tons of requests. Can I write forwards for books, endorsements? So we have a couple of team members that help with those things coming in. And then I can do what God's called me to do with supernatural grace. There's a teaching in the New Testament where Jesus says, come to me, all you who are burdened and laboring, and I'll give you rest. And he said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So when I'm doing what God's called me to do, I'm flourishing. I'm thriving. I'm full of joy, energy, life, vitality. When I'm doing stuff that I'm not called to do or that others can do better, it drains me. The things that you guys could do in your sleep would drain me and knock me out. I mean that literally. And then what I do, it seems superhuman to others, but that's so for me, it's been a key thing. Find my lane, find what I do well. Our CFO and administrator, they run the ministry. They make the financial decisions. I'm not good at that. I'll be too generous when we don't have it. I'll step out in faith when it's not wise. So they combine business acumen with faith, and they share our values and goals, and then they run it. I don't have to worry about that. So that's the key. One of my colleagues said he decided years ago not to do anything that anyone else could do as well as he did it, that he was going to do what only he could do. So in your younger years, you got to do a lot of things you'd rather not do. But as you get older, you can specialize more and more. So this way, if I've told people, if I can get my head in the clouds, I can change the world. Because if I could get above the daily distractions and the clutter and really get my head clear and see in a visionary way, I could change the world. That's how I feel on the inside. So it's not about being a prima donna or elitist. I'll clean toilets. That's not the issue. I'll get low, but it's a matter of doing what you can really do well and having the team around you that you can trust so that you can fly and do what you're called to do. You think of say an Elon Musk, right? Whether you like Elon Musk or not, what he's developed is extraordinary. But obviously he has to be able to get his head in a certain place, right? To be that kind of visionary genius. So whatever it is, whatever it is that makes you tick, you have to make sure that has an outlet. Whatever it is that's unique about you, whatever it is that you can best bring to the mix, you have to figure out a way to structure your life that is able to be the driving force. Otherwise, it would be like Elon Musk being an accountant. It's like, no, you could do better than that. Or me just being a school teacher teaching math because I was good in math. No, there's more that I have to contribute. So again, I've done the things I don't like to do over the years, but the older and older you get, the more you give yourself to what you can do best. And then this way you can really make a lasting impact.
Yeah, that's actually, you really summed up one of our most important principles is basically find your core strength, right? Understanding what your talent is and delegating the rest out so you can free up your time to just focus on that main thing that you love doing, and then you excel. That's pretty
But
much
see, here's a
summed up.
perfect example. Here's a perfect example. I just gave that in a lengthy, inspirational way. You subbed it up in one short business principle, right?
Exactly.
So again, that's just
That's
you
why it's
distilled it.
called 10-minute mogul, because you could master a task in 10 minutes once you become the master of that skill.
Yeah, and prioritizing your time, all that stuff. So we basically just took those 6 bullet points and just kind of made it, just kind of narrow it down so people can streamline it and understand,
Exactly.
like understand who they are, do their self-assessment, find out what their talent is, you know, and then go after it.
Exactly. So in this sense, you could say, okay, we bring Dr. Brown in to do this. So I'll give this inspirational message. And then if I'm preaching a spiritual thing, you'll go for it. Like, come on, together we're making a difference. We can do this. And people are inspired and they'll sign up and they'll sacrifice, right? And then people say, but how exactly do I do it? Then you and Randy get up and say, okay, here are the principles. Here's how you activate it. Right. Cause when I used to be more hands-on with when we had a full-time school. So I'd be involved in bringing someone on and tell them, okay, here's your job. I found out they were terribly frustrated. They said, I don't have a job description. I said, I gave you a job description. And my wife, Nancy, would say, that's not a job description. They're clueless. Well, it worked for me. So I'll get the heart beating and the blood pumping. Then someone else needs to come up with the skeletal structure. And they're both necessary. And that's why, again, we find our strengths and then we build on them.
Yeah. I have a final question for you is really, how did it become, like, what was the aha moment in your life's journey where it went from you having that epiphany, one person, to you really, was there a singular moment that you can remember that really helped catapult this into the reach that it is today?
Well, on the one hand, there was a vision when I first started preaching in August of 73 that I was supposed to speak to large numbers of people. But in those days, that would have meant a few hundred or a few thousand. At a certain point, then as I became consumed with concepts of spiritual revival and renewal, which have shaped American history. If you research the First Great Awakening or the Second Great Awakening, I felt called to be involved with something like that. And that happened. I was part of an intense spiritual movement where people came from 130 nations to a church in Pensacola, Florida in the mid to late 90s, more than 3 million people cumulatively. In the midst of that, I began to have this sense of helping be a leading force in a moral and cultural revolution, in something that would be positive and pure and faith-based, that would positively turn America, that a lot of things that had shifted in a negative direction would go in a positive direction. And that's what really the thing about raising up a movement came. So it was being part of this larger spiritual renewal that I really felt I'm supposed to help lead a movement. My small role in one way to help lead this, and that has energized others. And what I found is when people realize they're part of something bigger than themselves, that is so big. You're a part of something bigger than yourself. And that's why I'll often, when I sign my letter every month to our monthly supporters, I always say, together we're making a difference. And that when people, look, when they sign up for a certain real estate company, right? Now this is like the fastest growing real estate company in the nation, and you're an agent in that. You suddenly have a bigger identity, right? It's not just that house you're selling, but we are selling houses better. You have this success mentality. So to me, it's a spiritual thing. We're part of a larger movement, something that Jesus spearheaded. Let's go change the world together for good. And people enlist in that, and instantly now that mom homeschooling her kid, or that guy acting in an ethical way in the business world, or that kid in school that's not going to be bullied, but it's going to hold to their convictions, they realize I'm part of something bigger. I'm part of something larger than myself, and that infuses them and empowers them.
This is great. I mean, no matter what industry you're in, I mean, you can apply what you said to across any industry. And it's important for us just to broadcast that and show, no matter, if you're business, finance, religious, I mean, it's all connected. It's all together. you need everything balanced to succeed. So I'm glad you shared these stories. It's been incredible.
How can our audience find you? We'll have your assistant drop any links and
Sure.
we'll link to it.
Yeah, the generic place is thelineoffire.org, thelineoffire.org. It's also our YouTube channel is The Line of Fire. And then on X, it's Dr. Michael L. Brown. So 2 L's in there. On Instagram, Dr. Michael Brown without the other L. Facebook, Dr. Michael Brown. So if you just search for me and then put in whatever controversial phrase you like, you'll you'll find lovers and haters. But it'll go back to me one way or another.
Yeah, you like love him and hate him, but you're always gonna follow him. You know.
That's it.
And if you want to debate him, I'm sure you can reach out to him and have a debate. He'll love it.
866-348-7884. Call me on the phone during our radio show and we'll have a friendly debate.
What was that number again?
866-348-7884, 3 to 4 Eastern time daily. You call that number, you'll talk to me.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
Thank you so much. You're welcomed on anytime.
Wonderful. It's a joy, and I wish you the best success.
Looking forward to seeing you again soon.